So what are you doing with the rest of the cocaine on your finger now?
That's a lot of cocaine. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lynn.
Hello.
And back by popular demand, the podcaster with an opinion, Pat.
Hey.
All right, today we will be reviewing the 1984 action comedy, Beverly Hills Cop, directed by Martin Brest, written by Daniel Petrie Jr., and starring Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley. So, Lynn, do you want to give us a synopsis on this one?
Absolutely. After his childhood friend is murdered, foul-mouthed Detroit detective Axel Foley goes to Beverly Hills, falsely claiming to be on a vacation. He is, in fact, digging into whatever nefarious business his friend might have run afoul of. He calls on his old friend Jenny for help while trying to stay 2 steps ahead of the Beverly Hills Police Department, who are not thrilled to have a rogue Detroit detective in their city starting trouble. Eventually, Foley befriends 2 of the Beverly Hills Police, Rosewood and Taggart, who end up helping him take down the man responsible for his best friend's death.
All right. As always, this podcast will be full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. But before we get into it, let's run the trailer.
What were you doing in California anyway?
I was working.
Working where?
Beverly Hills. That's up.
Hey, Mikey.
Oh.
Well, you don't mind if I ask around a little bit, do you?
Don't do a damn thing. Stay out of this.
You know, this is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in my life. This thing's nicer than my apartment.
I just got off the phone with an Inspector Todd in Detroit. He says if you're out here investigating the Tandino murder,
How you doing?
you needn't bother coming back.
I haven't the slightest idea who you're dealing with.
Look, all 3 of us are cops. We should be working together. Cover me.
Police! You're all under arrest!
You do that again, I'll shoot you myself.
Now, please something to drink, a wine, a cocktail, espresso.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll make it myself right back there with a little lemon twist. It's good. You should try it.
I want to start this one off with some opening thoughts. First, let's talk about the soundtrack because it's so iconic. Let's start with the instrumental title known as Axel F. It was composed by Harold Faltermeyer, and this one won a Grammy for the best score soundtrack for a visual media in 1986. Pat, I know you love this one.
I have it as part of my playlist. It's a movie that, it's a song that you immediately can visualize the movie. At times I've listened to the song and I'm trying to figure what part of the movie I was hearing the song as it was playing. Which scene was it in?
I always felt like this song was just playing in your head all the time, like as you went through your daily life, but I could be wrong. And you're obviously familiar with Axel F too, correct?
Oh, of course. I actually saw a little bit about Harold Faltermeyer when I was looking at different Beverly Hills Cop trivia things, and they were saying that he also composed, like he did the score for Top Gun, he did the score for Fletch and The Running Man. But they were talking about how Axel F was such a big deal. It was so popular that Top of the Pops wanted him to come on and perform it. But it doesn't translate well to a live performance because it's literally just a dude standing in front of a synthesizer. So it didn't go over so well, but it was like #1 in the charts for quite some time. It was a big deal.
I was going to say, it's funny she brings up the different movies he's in. When you watch Fletch and you hear the music, you immediately think of Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes.
The soundtracks from those movies are so similar that it's unmistakably the same creator.
Yeah, and the movies also are very similar in content. Fletch and Beverly Hills Cop,
Yes.
It's a bumbling, funny, basic private detective, even though, one's a newspaper reporter, one's a cop, but, same idea.
Right.
Also on this soundtrack was Neutron Dance by the Pointer Sisters
Oh,
and
yeah.
A New Attitude, as well as Stir It Up, which I love. And those are by Patti LaBelle. And Stir It Up actually also won a Grammy. So that was 2 Grammy songs on one soundtrack. So this is obviously an awesome soundtrack.
And of course, The Heat Is On, which
And
is.
I was saving that one. I was saving
sorry.
that one.
Of course.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, lots of great songs on this one. So I think that'll do it for the music. Now I've another thing I want to touch on. So a lot of people think this was Eddie Murphy's first starring role in a movie, and that is partly true. But before this, he did share a screen with Nick Nolte as Reggie Hammond in 48 Hours.
Of
And then
course.
he would share the screen with Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places.
Yes.
And those both, they both came out before this. And what's funny is Paramount was so disappointed with Eddie Murphy's performance in 48 Hours, they almost cut ties with him. And they did not want to cast him as Axel Foley. They didn't think he had the chops to pull it off. They did not believe in him as an actor. He really struggled on 48 Hours, even though he did quite well in Trading Places. They did not want him for this part, and the director really fought to get Eddie Murphy the part of Axel Foley. So I thought that was interesting. Would you guys consider? I'll start with Pat. Did you guys consider 48 Hours and Trading Places like starring roles? Like I feel like those are Eddie's movies.
Oh, there's no question. When you say, think of your favorite or the most iconic Eddie Murphy movies, there's no question. Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, and 48 Hours. They're the first 3 movies that come to mind.
Right. Well, you have to remember at the time that 48 Hours was made, Nick Nolte was the big star. Eddie Murphy was virtually unknown. I mean, he had done Saturday Night Live, but he really wasn't the movie star. It was Nick Nolte. He had done, North Dallas 40. He had done some bigger movies. He was more of a 70s movie star, but he was a leading man, and Eddie Murphy was still had to prove himself on the big screen.
Yeah,
Honey, what did you think?
Feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're looking at Eddie Murphy in hindsight here, because in hindsight, those are great Eddie Murphy movies. Like Trading Places is freaking hilarious. But I think at the time, he was virtually unknown. So like in hindsight, yes, he's one of the stars, but I think like he was kind of like quote unquote a character actor at that point,
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. He was a skit actor. He was coming up with, characters on Saturday Night Live. But coincidentally enough, that is part of the charm of Beverly Hills Cop. And we'll get into that, Pat, how, his ability to turn on a character like on the turn of a dime, you'll see his face just click. And now he is no longer Axel Foley.
We're both thinking of the same scene that we're going to come to.
We absolutely are. And there's actually a couple of them in this that are just, classic Saturday Night Live Eddie Murphy. So let me get into a couple of actors that were considered for the part of Axel Foley. We're going to start with Sylvester Stallone, and he was the first choice for this. And he had decided late in the game that he wanted the script and he was going to rewrite it. And he rewrote it as a straight action movie, and it was going to double the budget. And Paramount did not want to go that route. He also wanted to change the name from Axel Foley to Axel Cobretti. Does that sound familiar, Pat?
Oh, no.
Yes. So
be serious.
No, I am serious. So they let him go, and they did have some, they did bring in Eddie for the part. And again, this was against Paramount's better judgment. They did not want Eddie Murphy. And Stallone took the rewrite of Beverly Hills Cop and, the Cobretti character, and obviously turned it into what we now know is the movie Cobra. So that was his vision for Beverly Hills Cop. And I can only speak for myself when I say, thank God that isn't this movie.
When you see Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley, it's very hard to picture another face and another actor in that character. It really, I mean, he is Axel Foley.
He is.
I can't picture. I mean, you'd have to throw a couple names out there for me to even think about it, because my mind is a total blank like that.
Well, the funny thing is that this, and I don't think I'm jumping ahead too far, but this movie is considered like original action comedy dramedy, like it's the first one. Like, this is before Lethal Weapon, this is before Die Hard, this is obviously before Bad Boys, like, but it turned into this new thing where you had like action movie that was also funny, that was also had a little drama. Like, this was one of the first ones that did that.
Well, it's funny you brought up Lethal Weapon, because I wanted to make this point, the parallel between Lethal Weapon and Beverly Hills Cop. So both of these are in they're the first in a franchise of movies. And this one is very dark compared to the ones that we're going to get after this. I mean, they're almost, I'm not going to say different movies, but this one is very dark. The rest are very light and full of humor. And in Lethal Weapon, I mean, my God, the first one is like, it doesn't get any darker than that. I mean, they're touching with suicide, PTSD. That movie is like scary dark. And then, as that franchise, goes through the next few movies, it also becomes lighter and lighter until we get to Chris Rock, and it's like a slapstick movie. So that's interesting you brought that up. I want to give you the other names on the list, though. So, Pat, you can tell me if you can see any of these people is Axel Foley. Also, Pryor, I can kind of see it. It doesn't work as well, but I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it, because he can handle. He's done comedy roles before. He's done action scenes before.
Yep.
I can see him doing it, but it would have to be like a young Richard Pryor.
Yes, and it would have been. Also, Al Pacino, and he seems like he comes up in all of our movie reviews as someone that was considered. I mean, he was considered for everything. Also, James Caan, which I think is interesting. I don't think I would have wanted it to be James Caan, but I think he could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, who they really wanted, he actually turned the role down. And my favorite one here, which I think really could have pulled it off, was Mickey Rourke. I think he would have made a good Axel Foley. I don't know how much comedy he would have brought to it, but I think for this first movie, which didn't lean so much on the comedy and more on the detective story, I think it probably would have worked. But yeah, I don't think this movie is is going to be pop culture without Eddie Murphy. I mean, this is Eddie Murphy, right?
No question.
And it was considered a box office success. It was $13 million to make, and it grossed $316 million at the box office. So this was a huge hit for Paramount. And this is, I'm sure they were super happy they took the chance on Eddie Murphy at this point.
Yes, and also, it should be noted that they were not going to go on for this movie. They were like, nah. And then Don Simpson, who was one of the writers and producers, he wrote Flashdance. And Flashdance obviously was a huge hit. So they were like, well, if he could do that with Flashdance, maybe this Beverly Hills Cop thing will be good too. So weirdly enough, Flashdance's success is what gave us Beverly Hills Cop, which is so bizarre, but that's the way it worked.
Right. Wow. Interesting.
It's all the writing.
Yeah, it is. A lot of it is in the writing, but I honestly feel like this one, a lot of it is in the acting. I mean, we get actors, and I feel like, again, this is one of those movies where you take one of these actors out and it's not the same movie. We've got Ronnie Cox, Judge Reinhold. I mean, these guys play off each other amazing. These foils against these characters are just perfect. So let me bring us into scene one. So the beginning of this movie, we're going to get another great song, and Dylan, you had alluded to this earlier. We're going to get The Heat Is On, and this is set over the gritty streets of Detroit in the early 80s, and it feels a little more like the early 70s, but it's supposed to be the early 80s. And we're getting scenes of the ghetto, we're getting scenes of downtown Detroit. And it's funny, there's a scene where you'll see these small kids in front of a project, and one of the kids is drinking milk, I think. And, they got these shots and the director really liked it, but, they couldn't put it in the movie without the parents' consent. And they did have an off-duty police officer there working security because, these weren't the best parts of Detroit they were filming in. And he had to go into this project to get the parents' consent. And the off-duty police officer said, nope, not going in. He goes, you want to go in and try and get that consent? Knock yourself out, but I am not going into that place. And the director did go in and he actually did get the consent, but I thought that was an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I'm watching the movie, I'm looking at the hair, the clothes, the cars. I'm like, this is really nostalgic. And I'm beginning to feel like a very old man watching that, the beginning of it.
You are a very old man.
Well, when my second youngest nephew tells me he's never seen Beverly Hills Cop, all I could think to myself is there's an entire generation that have probably never seen this movie that would love it.
I agree. Wow, right? That is...
I mean, they know who Eddie Murphy is, and they've probably seen him in God knows what, but never seeing him in Beverly Hills Cop was just astounding. I couldn't even fathom that.
I agree 100%. But, you got to remember, this is probably like when, your parents were like, oh, you've never seen, Casablanca?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Humphrey Bogart.
Feel like an old man.
Yeah, I mean, they know who Humphrey Bogart is, but I bet they've never seen Casablanca. I mean, I have, but it took me quite a while to get there. All right, so let's hit the opening scene. We're going to meet Axel Foley here. He is undercover. And I use that loosely because he's the only one that knows he's undercover on the force. And he's trying to sell a truckload of Lucky Strike and Pall Mall cigarettes to two guys. And there's some great, I love some of the dialogue here, man. The Johnny Bananas and, this is state tax, steel tax. This is, don't get no cleaner than this. I mean, this is great stuff.
He sells the role as a lowlife just trying to make a buck.
Yep.
And he's not about to get screwed over. And the whole conversation between the two of them, one is a businessman. I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman. Do what you want. I don't care. I'm just doing business here.
Come on now, tell me something, fella. What's going on? Shit. I've been here too long. Talk to me.
Just give us a minute, okay?
No, I ain't got no more minutes. Here, check this out. I want you to see something. You can't get no cleaning in this here. Look here. These are very popular cigarette with the children. You know what this is in here? You know what this is? This is a federal tax stamp. You can't beat that. You can't get no cleaning in that. Talk to me. Tell me something.
So why don't you keep going to business yourself if it's such a great fucking deal?
I would, man, but I ain't from Detroit, and I don't know nobody in town that can handle a job this big, but y'all supposed to got all the connections, But tell me something, shit. I'm a businessman. I'm gonna sit down, do what you want to do.
You're right, it ain't easy to get rid of this shit.
I know, but see, I'm a businessman, This is my thing. I'm doing business here.
He sells his characters so well that it's kind of like almost overdone, but it fits his role so well.
Yes, I found that Eddie Murphy found his stride as the movie progressed. He got better for me as the movie went on. Some great lines, Johnny Bananas, and then Pat. Listen, cuz don't jump out of here too quick. This is $2,000. I need $5,000. And then he goes, hey, if you want to do it, you sell them all. You smoke them. He goes, I smoke king size Kent. I don't smoke these. King size Kent.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is some
old man. Because you can't even. I don't even think they make those anymore.
King size Kent.
That's too funny.
Yeah, this is classic Saturday Night Live Eddie Murphy. I mean, this is just awesome.
I think that might have been one of the reasons why it became such a hit so quickly, because everybody knows Eddie Murphy from Saturday Night Live if they know Eddie Murphy, because that's the first time you ever seen him.
Yep.
And to see that scene and the way he dramatizes it and looks offside when he's saying $5,000, read my lips, $5,000. I mean, he dramatizes it so well. All I can see is Saturday Night Live.
Me too. So next scene, we get the truck chase, and this is pretty great stuff. I mean, this I know Delyn is going to have something to say about this.
Yes, I do.
I love this truck chase.
Is unbelievable.
And the director was like he dreaded this day. This was very dangerous. The stuntmen didn't want to get back in the truck. I mean, they destroyed a million cars in this scene.
Everything.
They destroyed everything.
It might as well have been a tank. You're watching some of these cars get hit from behind with that kind of force, and they're going into telephone poles, and they're just crumpling.
Yes.
And you have to think, man, this must have been a hell of a stunt to pull off, to have that kind of destruction over that amount of distance.
It was crazy. Delaney, what did you think of the police cars with the single light on top? Did those look like cars from 1986 or did they or 1983?
Like
or
a game from
Well,
Mayberry.
so here's the thing. You have to, when you look at the cop cars, and I'm not trying to jump ahead again, but when you look at the cop cars in comparison to the cop cars you see later when you're in LA,
yep.
they went out of their way to make those cop cars from Detroit look really crappy, to look like they're like, you know, they've maybe gone through a couple of generations of cars. There's spray paint on the side of some of them.
Yeah.
You know, like they're looking a little rough.
Well, so, I don't want to jump ahead, but I had made a note that, you know, the first, what we get here in Detroit and what we get when we get to Beverly Hills, okay, feels like two different time eras. It feels like we're jumping from 1971 to 1984.
Yeah, don't jump ahead though. Don't jump ahead.
Okay. All right. So
wait a minute. Let me finish. Let me finish with this thing about so they called this truck, quote unquote, the train. And they put a steel I-beam on the front of it. So it literally was just going to destroy everything. They did it on purpose because this was what they were looking for the stunt. But this is one of the moments where I had to be like, okay, this is a huge suspension of belief, because there's no way this 18-wheeler is just like ripping through cars like they're tissue paper, like just destroying them. So I thought that was funny that he did that. And like Des said earlier, that shot of Axel Foley flying out of the back of the truck and flying back in is a stunt man. And when he flew back in, he didn't want to get back in the truck after that. Like that was such an intense stunt. He was like, I'm done.
Yes, true.
Oh, it had to have been dangerous as hell.
Yeah,
it was. So the guy crashes the truck, and I'm gonna disagree. I think that if you saw an 18-wheeler full power go into a line of parked cars in traffic, you would see some serious carnage, and that truck would keep moving. But who's to say? I didn't. But it didn't bother me. Pat, did it bother you?
Hell no.
Hell no. Okay.
Hell no.
Okay.
I thought it was a great scene to start the movie off with, because it's just total chaos.
Loved it. Okay, so he crashes the truck, and the cops surround the back of the truck, and we get the one cop, he notices it's Axel Foley, and he says, Foley, we should have known it was you. And this is the first indication when they get that Foley is he's a black sheep. Everybody in the department knows that this kid is he's hanging it out there. He's playing it pretty loose.
Oh, this is not going to be good, because he just blew the deal.
All right, so next we're at the police station, the Detroit police station, and it's gritty, it's dirty, and they're making a point to really make this thing look dated. We're going to meet Jeffrey. He's a cop, and he's one of Eddie's buddies on the force. He's played by Paul Reiser, and I love the interaction between these two. I know you do too, Pat. What do you think?
Yeah, Jeffrey is just like he's the bug in your ear that you just can't get away from. He won't stop bothering you. He's constantly chasing him down. You know what you should do? Everybody knows what's going on. This isn't a secret anymore. You should. Where are you going? I'm going home. Bad idea. And the whole time, Eddie's trying to walk away from him, and Jeffrey's just right on his ass, and he's just in his ear like a little yap dog. And it's like, oh my God, Jeffrey, shut up.
He's like, Jeffrey, I'm going to shoot you. I am not listening to you.
I love that. You and I have the same gag when he tries to block out Jeffrey, and he's covering his ears. He's like, la 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 la. I'm not listening. I can't. I'm not listening to you, but you keep talking.
That's right. All right. So again, now we're see Axel. He's walking through the station, and we really get the feeling that all the cops just, they know this guy he's playing it loose. He's not following the rules, and
He just blew a big deal, and everybody's rubbing his face in it.
That's right. Everybody's rubbing his face in it.
Hey,
And
actually, you got a cigarette?
Yeah, he got a cigarette.
It's a great line.
Here we're going to meet Todd, Chief Todd, and he's played by Gil Hill. And what's great about this, and I would have, without the research for this podcast, I would have never, ever guessed that this guy wasn't an actor. He has such a great performance in this and throughout these movies. So strong. The director actually stumbled upon this guy while doing research at the Detroit Police Department. He was a Detroit homicide inspector that had never acted a day in his life. But the director thought that he gave off like a vibe like Eddie's dad. And he just saw something in this guy that said, Chief Todd. And he said, I want you to try and read for the part. It really wasn't going well. He came in, he did some reads, and studio wasn't digging it. Everyone was like, this guy can't act. But the director just really saw the vision and stuck with him and got him some lessons. And we ended up getting the performance you guys saw. What did you think?
When you told me, the first time you told me that he was not an actor, and you told me this story, I was like, wow, I really can't believe it, because it's like he's doing his real life on the movie screen. Yeah. Because he is an inspector. He is a real cop. And he's just putting that out on the screen for everyone to see. He just fit the role because he is the role.
Yeah, 100%.
My favorite thing with him is his interaction with Jeffrey, because Jeffrey kind of pipes up at one point and he's like, I'm not talking to you.
This is not my locker.
This is not my locker.
It's the best. Paul Reiser did such a great job. It was a small role, but it was so perfect for him in the little bits that he was thrown into.
This movie has a lot of actors that took small roles, just a couple minutes on the film, and really made it just great.
When we were talking about doing this for a podcast, if this was Eddie Murphy's first movie, because I've just seen so many movies, I can't remember everything he's in. And I think there is one person in this movie that it's the first time you see him. And we'll bring his name up later as the movie goes on.
Let me ask one more question about the character of Todd. So in pop culture, going up to Last Action Hero, we're going to start seeing these police chiefs that are, blowing up and in the office and, giving these over-the-top performances. Did this actor and this part start that?
Well, he could have, but you got to think back now. When we're talking about Eddie Murphy's first movies, remember Jack Cates, lieutenant or chief or whoever it was, big black guy yelling at him, tough guy. He's the first guy you would see in that role. And then you see Inspector Todd, who's just a little more professional, and you get a little more respect for Todd than you did for Jack Cates' boss.
Yeah, that's why we do this podcast, Pat. That was a great observation. It was done before this, so maybe Todd was actually influenced by that character.
Evolved. Yeah, evolved. His character was more evolved than the beginnings.
I absolutely agree. All right, so in scene 4 here, we're going to meet Mikey for the first time. This is Eddie's, childhood friend. He's played by James Russo. This guy's a great actor, and this is, again, I want to ask you guys: is this a comedy or is this a detective movie drama with a great leading man that brings the humor to the movie? But I don't feel like this
is a hybrid.
It is a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. It's not a comedy. It's not an action. It's not detective story. It's all of those things.
All of the
And
above, yeah.
if you take any of those pieces out, it's not the same movie.
No, not at all.
And
Not at all.
like the Detroit, I feel like the first, I don't want to call it the whole quarter, but the beginning of this movie is really dark. The Detroit scenes are dark. They're shot dark. It's gritty. It's got, again, I always go back to this, but it's kind of got that, Taxi Driver feel. It feels 70s to me, not 80s.
Yeah, they did not paint Detroit in a pretty picture in this beginning of that movie.
And the acting in the beginning of this movie, in my opinion, is a little stronger than the acting we're going to get once we get to Beverly Hills. We get a couple of performances that kind of are B performances, but they're not from major characters, so it doesn't bother me that much. But this performance by James Russo as Mikey, I think, is like really strong. He's going to show. All right, so Axel's going to come home. He sees his front door is open, and he draws this gun, and we're going to see Mikey sitting at the table. He's helped himself to some food, and he's got the refrigerator door open. Let's talk about it.
Who lives like that? Who opens the refrigerator, sits down to a plate of food, and leaves the damn door open?
Mikey.
Mikey does. Exactly.
So I made some observations in this scene that I never noticed before I did the review watch for this. And you guys may want to actually go back and watch the scene if you didn't notice it. So he's going to show Axel the bearer bonds, right?
Yeah.
And Axel's going to say, are they stolen? And he's going to go, you know what? I don't want to know. And Mikey's going to hug him, and we're going to see Mikey's face from, behind Axel's back. And he has a look on his face that says, no, it's a look on his face that says, I'm in big, big trouble here.
He does. Yeah, he looks a little scared.
He's scared shitless. And I feel like he has come to Axel for protection. He knows that his life is in danger. I mean, I never noticed it before, but the look on this actor's face says, I'm fucked. And he's come to his police officer friend, I think, for protection.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, if you go back and watch it again, especially, I know, Pat, you watch this movie a lot like I do. I want you to look at his face.
Oh, I remember the face. It just never dawned on me that he wasn't just passing through as he's running from California to Detroit. It never dawned on me that he might be going to his childhood friend who's a cop for protection or help. I never even thought that.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Dylan, what do you think?
Oh, I think he absolutely was going there to hide, and he figured, why not hide right next to a cop? Like, are these guys going to really come and get me right next to a cop?
Yeah. And it's funny,
as it turns out.
And Axel actually says to him, I missed you, man. And that's when he gives the look on his face, like, he's being deceptive. He didn't necessarily go there because he missed his old friend and he wanted to catch up. He knows why he's there. He's there, for protection and for a reason. So the next scene we're going to get, they go to the bar, him and Mikey, and we're going to get the backstory on what Mikey was doing in LA. And we're going to get a scene at the bar where we're going to be told here that, Mikey would do anything for Axel. They've been friends since they were kids. He covered for Axel when they stole cars as kids, and went to juvie and didn't rat on Axel and did the time for him. And this scene, he tells Axel he loves him. And this didn't play well with audiences when they were testing this film. People were laughing. They thought it was funny. And that wasn't what the director was trying to get across. And the Paramount wanted them to cut the scene. They didn't like it. They thought it was weird, a man telling another man he loved him. So, but the director felt it had to be in the movie. It really showed that, the bond these two had, and, why Axel's going to go and do what he's going to do. So they edited this thing down to as short a frame as they could get it after he said, I love you, man. And it was deemed acceptable by the studio. So they left it in. I think it was a very important scene, and I thought it was one of the better scenes in the movie. What do you guys think?
Well, the scene itself, I think the only real reason for the bar scene is to give you the backstory of what Mikey was doing and how they came to know each other as kids. The "I love you" scene, it's that part of it was, I don't know, maybe you can attribute it to him being half in the bag, but just the look on Axel's face was just like almost like he was kind of confused. He like didn't know how to respond.
Delaney, how did you read it?
I mean, I feel like if you see a guy telling another guy, I love you, man, like you're my bro, I love you, and you're upset about that, it's a little fragile,
And
that you can't handle a dude just being like, I love you, man.
And that was what they were saying was, back in the mid
Yeah.
80s, there was a lot of homophobia going on, and they just felt like it just didn't play good for the public. But I didn't see it like that at all. I just saw it like, character building that had to be there. I would have had a hard time buying a lot of what happened after this.
Yeah, like why would he take it so personally if he didn't feel that close? Like if Mikey was just a buddy that from when they were young and that's it, and the guy, it sucked what happened to him, but whatever. Like I'm not gonna put my life on the line for him. If he's like, I love you, you're my brother, you mean everything to me. Now you do what Eddie Murphy does or Axel Foley does as this movie progresses.
Completely agree. And
there's a bit of an obligation here. Why didn't you turn me in?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I love you. And then the guy ends up dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to do something.
Yep.
This isn't just some guy he knew. This is like his best friend who went to state school and didn't rat him out.
Yeah.
Right. And Axel doesn't look down on Mikey because we also get in the backstory that Axel was also a criminal and turned his life around and became a police officer, but never forgot his friends and never forgot where he came from, the streets of Detroit. So interesting.
Also that also lends itself to why he is the cop that he is, because that is who he is.
Yes.
So I agree.
He is able to see it from, both sides of the fence when he's working a case where guys like, Taggart and Rosewood, they have no insight to the darker side of the crime. So back at Axel's apartment, we're going to meet Zach. He's played by Jonathan Banks. And I'm not going to jump ahead, but this is Victor's henchman, his main guy. And this guy plays a great heavy in movies. I love him.
I've always seen him as some kind of a scumbag, enforcer. He's never played a moral high ground role.
No.
I don't know how else to describe it.
No,
he's always been a scumbag. Every character I've ever seen this guy, he's always been a scumbag.
Yeah, he plays the heavy in the movies all the time. So Axel's trying to help Mikey in. They're drunk. They're feeling good. I don't know if they're as drunk as they're acting, but they're feeling good. They're having fun with each other. And this is where Zach, he's gonna punch Axel in this, or no, he's gonna hit Axel in the back of the head with a pistol, knock him out, and he's gonna confront Mikey. Now, are we to believe that they've been following around, waiting for the right time to do this hit?
Actually, I would have thought that they wouldn't know who Axel is, so they had to have been following him just to get to, but even that doesn't make sense because they were already there.
Yeah.
They were already there waiting when Axel and Mikey got back to Axel's apartment.
Yeah. So I'm confused here. If they
if
they had followed Mikey there earlier, why not just kill him when he's alone with the door open?
Exactly.
So
that does lead to some suspicion.
Yeah.
How did they know?
So a lot of times when things like this happen, I just imagine that there's a scene that was cut that we probably didn't get to see, and they were just, hoping that, there weren't going to be podcasts in 2022 breaking these things down. But anyway, he tells Mike, he's kind of shining him on, letting him believe, they're going to let him go, give us back the bonds. We're going to let you go. Don't ever show your face in LA again.
Did anyone actually believe that was going to happen when they watched the movie?
No. And
no, neither did I.
This is a brutal scene. He gets him down, mafia style, hands and knees, shoots him twice in the back of the head. You see the spit come out of his mouth. I mean, this is a brutal killing.
I did notice that today, and I was amazed that I didn't notice it any time before.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a brutal scene. And, again, this is a dark movie. This is probably one of Eddie Murphy's darkest movies. He's played cops before, but this one is just, this is good stuff for a buddy cop comedy. This is some good stuff. Next scene, we're going to have the crime scene out in front of Eddie's building. And, Todd is telling Axel, stay away from the case. We're giving it to one of the senior detectives. And, this doesn't sit right with Axel. He's saying, this guy's a pencil pusher. He hasn't, Rand, he hasn't worked on a case in years. And
he hasn't left his desk in 12 years.
Yeah, this is a good friend of mine. Todd tells him, yeah, let's take a look at that. A hoodlum friend and a professional hit. And, he says, how do you know it's a professional hit? He goes, I didn't just walk out of the cornfield yesterday or whenever he said, and this shows that, the cotton field. This shows that Todd is, this guy's a legit detective. He knows his business. He's savvy. And, he wants Axel to go to the hospital, but Axel's, he's fired up. He wants on this case. And he tells Todd, I'm going to take my vacation. And Todd says, you work this case and it'll be the longest vacation you ever took. You guys have any thoughts on this scene?
I don't have much of a thought other than you definitely see that Todd is kind of at the end of his rope with him and is like, this is it. Like, you mess this up and I'm done with you.
Yes, totally agreed. And it's funny because we're going to see a lot of the same foils play out in Beverly Hills with these detectives and these cops, but for different reasons. And this is going to be the bizarro world of what we've just seen when we get to Beverly Hills. So, and that's where we're going next. So we're going to Beverly Hills, and this is the exact opposite of the beginning of the movie. This time we're going to get.
This was done on purpose completely to show you the complete juxtaposition.
This is the beautiful world.
Yes.
And he's leaving the ugly world and going to the beautiful world, and it's night and day.
And we're resetting the movie in Beverly Hills here to stir it up, the song. And now we're going to see Beverly Hills. We're going to see the mansions. We're going to see Gucci. We're going to see, beautiful people. We're going to see sports cars. And now we've gone from 1971 Detroit to 1984 Beverly Hills. So we've now jumped into a DeLorean time machine and we're in the future.
It feels that way for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no question. Just everything in the beginning of the movie looks old. Like I said, the cars, the clothes, the hairstyles.
Yeah.
And now you get to Beverly Hills, and now the cars look so new and everything looks so clean and bright, and everybody looks hip and up to current fashions. And it's like, wow.
So go ahead, Pat.
Oh, it was just like you had said, it was like going through a time machine.
Yeah. So do you guys think that they pushed the envelope too hard trying to create the contrast between Beverly Hills and Detroit? Or do you think it was done, masterfully?
I mean, it's very heavy-handed. It's very obvious. It's very heavy-handed, but I think that was done on purpose because we also have to consider in 1984, you went to the movies and you sat down in a movie theater and you saw that movie and you probably didn't see that movie again, for I know VHS was becoming a thing and Betamax and all that, but you probably weren't going to see that movie again for at least another couple of years. It wasn't like now where you could watch it over and over and over and over,
Right.
So they wanted to get across. And
Yeah, it
you
was
saw
deliberate.
that. Yeah, you saw that Detroit scene, and it's in the back of your head. You saw that, maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. So now it's like we're refreshing, and this is a whole new movie now almost.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no question.
All right, so next we're at the Beverly Palm Hotel, and Axel's going to come in, and this is where we're going to see him flip his first Saturday night script, his first Saturday night character, which I love.
Absolutely.
Yep. So he goes up, and he hears the receptionist telling someone on the phone, there's no vacancies, and oh, the nerve of some people, he says. She's sorry we don't have any openings, and he says, I'm Axel Foley from Rolling Stone magazine. And she says, sorry, I have nothing here from Rolling Stone or Axel Foley. And, I know what must have happened. You must have messed up my reservation. And, she's like, sorry. And this is where he pulls out, you think I don't know what's going on here? I'm just a small town reporter here to do a story. I'm Michael Jackson. And I know if I was some big shot, you'd find me a room, but I'm just some small time reporter. And I'm not going to get into the rest of it because I just don't want to. But he shames them into basically giving him a suite, and it's good. It's a great character, and it just shows how talented Eddie is in doing his
just
little.
the look on his face when they told him, we have a suite, but we'll only charge you the single room rate.
Yes.
And Eddie asks, and Axel asks, well, how much is that? It's $237 a night. And then for like 5 seconds, there's not a movement. His face doesn't move. He doesn't say a thing. That pause was so perfect. And you have to think, what's going on in his mind? How the hell am I going to pay for this?
And what's funny is I thought to myself, it was actually $235. I thought to myself, oh, that's really not that much for a suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel. But
I did the today's thing. Yeah.
$650.
No, more. It was six something in like 2019. It's actually $785 in today's money.
Right?
Right today.
That's insane.
So that's why he has that moment of pause. And, his comedic timing is just like, wow. Just spot on. He's a master of his craft when it comes to that, and that's what makes this movie work, so well. So speaking of comedic timing and absolute, genius work, we're about to get some here that is some of my favorite comedy ever. So we're going to show up at the art gallery here, and we're going to meet Serge here for the first time, played by Bronson Pinchot. And this scene was actually pieced together. They weren't actually in the same room when the scene was shot. They did it separately, and it was edited together. And the dailies were going to the studio, and it was looking so bad that they almost cut the scene from the movie, but they were able to edit it together and make it look good. And this character played by Bronson Pinchot, it was actually based on a makeup artist, a female that was working the movie. He was imitating her. There was going to be 3 people in this scene, but when the director saw Pinchot, goofing around and doing this character, he was like, wow, this is just genius. So he axed one of the guys. He kept one, which is the guy with his shirt opened up too much. And he gave, he gave the bulk of the role to Bronson. And oh man, come on, guys, let's get excited about this character, Serge. How amazing is it?
Love him.
He was so funny. He's like, I don't know. It's like if you wanted to picture Beverly Hills as a person, he would be like the poster boy. Everything about him, from the thumb ring, the accent, the haircut, the attitude, that he was so much better than Axel. The role was a scream.
And the way they worked off each other without even being in the room together, it's not sexy. And Axel, no, it's not sexy.
No, it's not at all.
Oh.
I also appreciate that even though he is a gay man character, it wasn't like just the over-the-top gay man character, like he had something else happening, because it would have been very easy to do just quote-unquote the gay guy, and they didn't do that. They gave him this crazy accent, and he had, even though he knew he was better than Axel because he's looking at his clothes and he's like, oh, but he's still.
He can't even say his name. He can't even say the name Axel.
Ackwell.
Ahmed Ackwell.
Oh, and he knows the name at the end. He's doing it on purpose. Now, I want to say something about the gay man thing, because you brought that up. And until you just said that, I never identified Serge as gay. I never.
Oh, really?
Never.
Neither did I.
Okay. Never identified him as gay. I identified him as super like upper crust. Yeah, very
foreign.
Very, yeah, foreign. Just awesome, man. I don't know, fucking Super Surge. I love it. So listen, guys, I want to stop for a second.
But remember, it's not Surge, it's Serge.
Oh, it's Savage.
When you say Surge, it's like a detergent.
That's gonna come in another movie, but yes,
it is.
So let's take a minute and listen to that scene, because I don't think we can go forward without hearing Savage.
No, you need to see this clip to actually fully appreciate Serge.
All right, so let's take a listen.
I'm fine. My name is Serge, and how can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for Miss Jenny Summers.
It's very busy today. Maybe you give me your name?
My name's Axel Foley.
And what it's pertaining?
I didn't understand what you said.
Pertaining, what it's meaning, regarding.
Oh, what's it regarding? I'm an old acquaintance of hers.
Danae? One moment. Don't run and tell me, Summers, that Mr. Ahmed Foley is here to see...
Axel Foley. Axel.
Achwell?
Axel.
Foley is here to see her. These are old acquaintances. Donnie, cover this up. It's like the breast of a dog to scrub for the customer. It's not sexy, it's animal.
No, it's not sexy at all.
May I offer you something to drink? Wine, a cocktail, espresso?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll make it myself right back there with a little lemon twist. It's good. You should try it.
No, I'm fine.
I see you look at this piece.
Yeah, I was wondering how much something like this went for.
$130,000.
Get the fuck out of here!
No, I cannot. It's serious because it's very important piece.
Have you ever sold one of these?
Sold it yesterday to a collector.
Get the fuck out of here!
Serious, I said it myself.
Axel Foley, what on earth are you doing here?
How you doing?
I'm fine. Hold a second. I'll be right down.
Great. Excuse me, Serge.
So next we're going to meet Jenny Summers. She's played by Lisa Elbacher. So he informs Jenny that Mikey has died. She definitely looks upset, and he starts questioning her about her boss, Victor, knowing that Mikey worked for Victor as a security guard. What do you guys think about this scene?
I mean,
go
ahead, Pat.
No, you first.
I was just going to say that it seems to me that she is really kind of taken aback to find out that Mikey has died, and is upset about it because she got him that job. And I think right away she's like, did this job make that happen? Like, I think like she does say at one point, oh, he's an important man. He doesn't, but I have a feeling that like somewhere in the back of her mind, she thinks there might be sketchy stuff happening, like way in the back of her mind.
Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree, because as you find out about Jenny Summers, she came from nowhere and is now managing this really exclusive, expensive art gallery. And her boss is questionable.
Okay.
And the fact that she went to bat for Mikey to get him the job, she's now mortified that she may have actually caused his death.
I had a different read on it. So I'm watching this scene and I'm noticing a lot of pauses between Axel and Jenny. And I think they did that intentionally. You got to remember, Jenny is like Axel and Mikey. She ran with them as kids. And you've got to probably figure that she also was into some naughty stuff, and probably has, she knows
history.
Yeah, she has a history. She's not from Beverly Hills. She's from the streets. And I don't think that she suspects Victor for a second. I think that she's thinking,
Oh, do you think that she's more like, oh, I'm going to be in trouble because he messed up?
Yes. I think right now she's worrying that Axel is going to put some pressure on Victor, and she may lose her cush life in Beverly Hills. And she's worried about this. She doesn't think that, Victor has to have this, her shitty friend killed, Mikey. Victor have to have Mikey killed for.
Right.
She doesn't think
can't justify
Victor's.
it.
Yeah, she doesn't think Victor's peddling, cocaine and bearer bonds. This guy's making, millions of dollars selling art. He's the biggest art dealer in the country. So I got the vibe
Has
that
been for many years.
yeah,
That's a good point.
Yeah, she got the vibe that Axel was gonna blow her up, her cushy situation. That's just my read. I think none of us are right or wrong. That's just we all saw it differently. So I thought that was interesting.
Why you had many
No,
people.
but I can see it that way too. I can see it both ways. I can see that she's mortified that Mikey's dead, and maybe Victor has something to do with it. But I can also see that her saying, "Oh my God, I got Mikey this job, and now he's blown it, and now he's gotten himself in trouble again, doing something stupid, and I'm gonna look bad."
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and her position, that would definitely be a concern.
Right. All right. So next, we're going to show up at Victor's office, and here we're going to get another character from Eddie. We're going to get flower delivery guy. Now, he doesn't go over the top with this one, but he does. He delivers a fun line. Flower delivery is my life. I better take it up there. And we're going to meet Victor Maitland for the first time, played by Stephen Burkoff. And this guy is a cheap version of Rucker Hauer. He looks like Rucker. He delivers a lot of lines like Rucker. And I think he's a great heavy. I really enjoyed him in the part. And we're also going to see Zach there. We saw him in the beginning of the movie. He popped Mikey. And, he's obviously Victor's, right-hand man. And let me ask you guys about the outfit for Victor, the gray karate gi he's wearing or whatever it is.
What the hell? See, this is one of the reasons why Victor Maitland is a character, like in other villains, is a character you love to hate. His arrogance and pomposity is right there behind that desk, wearing that silly thing over his shirt. And all I could think to myself is, why the hell is he wearing a robe over his suit? Because that's what it looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is he's throwing some condensation at that's the wrong word.
He's raining on Axel Foley.
He is raining on Axel. No,
right.
He's being extremely condescending to Axel. He's patronizing him with these, I hope the Detroit Police Department has acquired some good leads. He's not afraid of Axel at this point. He's basically telling Axel, yeah, I freaking popped your friend. Get out of my office before I pop you too. Right?
Yes.
Pat, what do you think?
He's so nonchalant about it. Like, it's not that big a deal. Your friend's life didn't mean anything. Everything, the way he spoke, he was just so, I don't know.
Well, he's untouchable. He owns Beverly Hills, which we're going to find out. He probably gives huge donations to the police department. He's a big man around town, and he's going to get preferential treatment from the police, as we'll see through this. So he doesn't think there's anything Axel can do, and he doesn't even know he's a cop at this point. Even if he did, I don't think it would matter.
No, because his level of arrogance is so high that he's not concerned.
But he does throw Zach a look like, what is this guy doing in my office?
I thought the exact same sentence when I saw the look too.
Yeah.
How is he here? Why is he here? How the hell did he get here?
Yeah. How did you leave a loose end in Detroit, basically?
This big.
Yeah. This guy's in my office because you didn't finish the job I sent you to do.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to push a button. And we're going to see this move in Time Cop, if you guys will remember, where Van Damme goes to bring his friend back from the 20s. And he pushes the button, and the two big bouncers come in and try and take Van Damme out.
Yes.
Same thing. Same thing. He
Yes.
pushes the button under the desk, and we're going to get 4 or 5 thugs. They're going to come in, and they're going to take Axel out. And what did you guys think about them throwing him through the pane glass window? I thought it was
Was it
over
really
the top.
necessary?
No.
I mean, you're throwing him out of the building. Did you have to throw him through the window?
No.
Really? The
Dylan?
door is right next to the window.
What'd you think, Dylan?
Well, I'm thinking now you got to replace your window, so you're doing nothing but hurting your boss at that point.
And I didn't see Victor give the heavies the okay to take the front window of his establishment out. And do you really want to draw that kind of attention to you when you've now got a guy sniffing around about a murder that you ordered?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when you're that arrogant, that doesn't mean anything to you.
You don't want
You
the
just
police
want
coming
the
around.
bug out of your building, and so you can get on with your day.
Yeah, I want him out of the building, but I don't want the police showing up and asking questions about this murder or why the guy's there.
Well,
So
that's why when you find out why he's being arrested, he freaks out the way he does. He's being arrested for disturbing the peace.
right. So
And I mean, let's also say he's probably also being arrested because he's black. I mean,
Yes.
he's in Beverly Hills and he's black.
all right, well, you know what? Since you took the top off this tuna fish can, I didn't want to get into it too much, but there is a lot of racial undertones in this movie.
Sure.
A lot of it. I mean, with the Rolling Stones thing, he's basically
Yes.
calling the people at the Palms Hotel bigots, which they probably are. I mean, in the second half of this,
Beverly Hills.
is
It's
Beverly Hills.
in 1984. I mean,
Yep. And these cops are going to act the same way. I mean, it's
you can't
this-
talk about this
Hills
movie
Cop.
and not at least touch upon the racism, because
and
it's
there's
part of it.
and there's plenty of it. And I'll tell you what, it's not nearly as bad as the racism you're going to get in Trading Places right before this, which
Right.
is borderline like nauseating.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, you literally almost couldn't make Trading Places today. It's like a movie like The Bad News Bears, where
Oh,
it's
you
like,
defend way too
Yeah.
many people.
But,
and that just mean it would never get made.
but and that is something that I do miss about movies from the 70s and the early 80s, is that, is as misguided and as wrong as it is for a lot of these topics, homosexuality, biased, and racism and all this, it is a part of the real world, and it made a lot of these movies have a real world feel to them that you're not going to get today, because studios are
Everything's
afraid.
sugar coated today.
Yeah, studios are afraid to give it to you between the eyes like they used to back in the 70s and the 80s. And for right or wrong, you can't shield the world from the world. So I kind of like the way movie making was done back in the 70s and the 80s, but that's neither here nor there. So here's where we're going to get the first really poor acting that kind of drags the movie down for a minute for me. These two cops suck, man. These guys can't act. These guys can't act.
Who, the two that arrested him?
Yeah, they're terrible. Gun partner.
They're only I think the only reason those actors were there was because they were pretty and they needed pretty cops for Beverly Hills Cops.
Could they get two pretty guys that had ever acted a day in their life before? I mean, gun partner, freeze. I mean, these guys couldn't act. It was horrific. It really was. But it's go ahead.
Even with the poor quality of the cops acting, it is one of my favorite scenes. Well, the scene has one of my favorite lines when he says, "What am I being arrested for?
Disturbing the
Concealed
peace."
weapon and disturbing the peace." And Axel's response is priceless. "Disturbing the peace? I got thrown out of a fucking window. What's the charge for getting pushed out of a moving car? Jaywalking?"
Yeah.
And they shove him in the car.
Great line. Great line.
It's one of the lines that I always remember from that movie. Always.
Yeah. It was a standout performance by those two cops that just for 1 minute, really took me out of the movie. Just for a minute. And I just think they could have done better there. I mean, it was a glaring acting display by those two, but whatever, no big deal. So the next scene, we're gonna finally see the Beverly Hills station and Beverly Hills Police Station, and
Axel is amazed.
this is high tech, is what I wrote down. This is like NASA control room to launch the space shuttle.
He looks like a kid going through Disney World as he's looking around at all the computers and the people and the sounds and the lights.
So the director, Brest, he was on War Games, and they kicked him off War Games, and this is what he was going to do with War Games because he already had the set design, so he just used it.
Oh, interesting. So we see the police station before Axel does. We actually see Axel in a holding cell being released, and there's a phone in it, and he says, I ordered pizza, someone eat it. And
I've never been in a cell before that had a payphone.
Yeah. So they're gonna bring him up, and again, the contrast between the two police stations and the two police cars and everything is just so polar. It's just crazy. So they're gonna bring him up, and he's gonna be getting a sit down now with Taggart and Rosewood. We're going to meet these two for the first time. Taggart's played by John Ashton, and Billy Rosewood is played by Judge Reinhold. And I feel like they missed an opportunity here. I think instead of being Billy Rosewood, he should have been Brad Rosewood because this is Brad Hamilton from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is Brad Hamilton. Brad Hamilton grew up in California. Billy Rosewood is a cop in California. This is the same character. This is Brad Hamilton. So
and they're so close in age range that it could literally just go from one scene to the other and almost never notice a change.
This is literally Brad Hamilton 5-6 years after Fast Times, after he went through police cadet school. So that's how I look at Billy. For me, he'll always be Brad. So Taggart and Axel are going to, they're going to butt heads here, and Taggart's going to end up punching Axel in the stomach, and this is where we're going to meet. And I think Taggart's a badass. I mean, for Beverly Hills, he doesn't take any crap. What do you guys think?
He's an old salt for sure.
Yeah, and Axel did everything he could to push every button he could.
He sure did. But I love that even in Beverly Hills, Taggart is a no-nonsense dude, and he's going to stand up and he is going to punch Axel in the stomach.
The line that I made a note of right before, what caused Taggart to punch him? Because Taggart says we'd be more likely to believe a prominent businessman than a foul-mouthed jerk from out of town. Yep. And Axel's reply was priceless. Foul-mouthed? Fuck you, man.
Yep. But Axel
caused Taggart to punch him.
Well, Axel drew first blood. Axel touched Taggart first. So he gives him the two fingers off the shoulders.
That's right. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so he did first contact came from Axel. And this is where we're going to meet Ronnie Cox, Lieutenant Bogomil, for the first time. He sees this happen. He's going to come out. He's going to grab Taggart, bring him back into the office. You can see him. He's reading him the riot act. And he's going to come out and ask Axel, do you want to press charges against this officer? And this is where we're going to see that Axel comes from a different world where, cops don't press charges on other cops. And he says as much. And I think at this moment, we're going to see Taggart gains a little bit of respect for Axel. What do you guys think?
Oh, there's no question. No question. Because Taggart is a by the book, but he's still old school.
Yes.
And they're even though they're both cops, they're from two different cultures and two different worlds as cops. And one is by the book because it's Beverly Hills and it's all image and you have to be the upstanding citizens, and you get the cop from Detroit who's playing in the gutter. So the two of them just butt heads from the beginning, but not ratting him out or turning him in. There's no question. Old school is like, okay, he's not that bad.
Yeah, they start to realize that maybe they're not that different at that moment. I think that was where we got a little shift. Lynn, what did you think?
Yeah, there's definitely a shift for Taggart because Taggart, like you said, he's old school. I even think he's a higher rank than Billy, and he's older than Billy. So he has been around the block for a while, and he's done it. He's done the thing. So he knows what it's going to take to stay on the right side of things. And that's what he's doing. He's playing the game and doing the things the way he's supposed to. But he also took a swing at Axel because he isn't going to take any shit either.
Right. And you're right. Taggart is a sergeant and Billy is a detective. So he is a senior officer in that. And it's funny because I get the impression that, Billy is, he's fascinated by Axel right off the get.
Yeah, he's a little fanboy.
He is.
See it in his face.
Yeah, he loves him, and and he's rooting for Axel the whole time. He wants to partner up with Axel. He's like, let's do this. So next we're going to get Jenny. She's going to come. She's going to bail Axel out. And they're going to, they come out and, he sees her little red Mercedes. He's like, this your car? And she gives a great line, and no, we just take whatever car we want here in Beverly Hills,
I remember you used to drive that crappy blue Chevy Nova.
What are you driving now?
Crappy blue
Same
Chevy
crappy
Nova.
blue Chevy Nova.
So Axel's going to notice in the rearview mirror that they're being tailed by Taggart and Rosewood. He tells, Jenny, he wants her to let him into Victor's warehouse, and she's not up for it, but she's gonna do it. But they go back to the hotel, and this is where we see Eddie order a late supper for Taggart and Rosewood. And we're gonna see a hotel worker run out to the car, and this guy is Freddie Fernandez. You might recognize him from the Karate Kid. He's the first kid that Daniel meets when he moves to California. He kicks the door, and the kid that falls over on the other side, that's Freddie Fernandez. That's the actor that played the worker here. And I thought that was interesting. So, we've got Taggart. He is not digging this. He knows that this shouldn't be happening, but Rosewood's loving it. Ooh,
Taggart's not happy because obviously Axel knows they're there.
Right. So and that's because, I let you drive. Right. So, they're up in the room, him and Jenny, Axel and Jenny, and, he makes the order, and she decides she's going to go ahead and let him into the warehouse. So, they come downstairs, and this is where we're going to see a very young Damon Wayans for the first time playing the Banana Man.
Yes, and that's actually in the credits. In the credits, he actually is called Banana Man.
Yes, he is.
By Damon Wayans.
He is.
I watched the credits because I'm looking for names, and I knew it was Damon Wayans. You could hear the voice, but the character's name was Banana Man. I thought that was hysterical.
And he delivers basically his he gets a couple lines. He tells him about the buffet, but he delivers his one line like
peaches and plums and some bananas.
Yep. And Axel says, I just need a couple of bananas. So, Damon's going to hand him 3 bananas, and he's going to say, you go ahead and take those bananas. And
as he looks around to make sure nobody's watching him, give them to him. Go ahead and take these bananas.
Some great comedic timing. This line is delivered perfectly, and it's an iconic line that has stood the test of time, and for such a small part in a movie, people talk about it.
It was a great scene because and as Eddie takes the bananas and starts to walk away, if you look real close, the smile on their faces as their eyes are meeting, all that tells me is they could barely contain their laughter when they did the scene.
Absolutely. They
looked like they were ready to burst because Damon Wayans was so flamboyant with his character, and he was so over the top. Well, we have the fruit cup. It's got the peaches and the plums. Well, I just need some bananas. And he looks around like no one's watching. Here, take these bananas. It was delivered so perfectly.
And it's a line that people say all the time. It's just one of those pop culture lines that just it stuck.
I need a couple of bananas. How much are they?
Well, the buffet plate is $12.50. You get peaches, plums, oranges, and bananas.
Well, all I need is a couple of bananas.
Shh. Go ahead, take those bananas.
So we're gonna get Axel setting the old banana in the tailpipe trick, and you're not gonna get Freddy.
Work? Would that actually work? I made a note about that. The tailpipe's big. How does a banana cause the damn engine to stall?
It wouldn't work, and I think they actually tested it on MythBusters, and it wouldn't work. But he is actually assisted by Freddie Fernandez. The hotel worker sees him. The waiter sees him back there, and he gives him a wink, like, "Go ahead, I'll keep these guys distracted while you stick those bananas in that tailpipe."
Oh, it was so funny.
So he does, and him and Jenny jump in the red car, and he gives Taggart Rosewood a big wave, like, here I am, don't get me.
I see you.
Yep. They take off, and the car stalls out, and that's it. So they get away, and the next scene we're going to get is the warehouse. We're at Victor's warehouse, and Jenny lets them in. They go in together. They're going to find some coffee grounds in the warehouse, and they're going to see a crate come in from a couple of the goons, and they're going to crack this crate open. And again, we're going to get some weird lines here that I kind of got like a weird homophobic thing out of it. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. Because the older guy is talking about these guys. He's got this eye that's twitching, and I couldn't tell him whether he was coming on to me or not.
Yeah,
so I thought I'd take you over there and let him take a crack at you before I ripped his head off.
Okay. So I read that right then.
Oh, absolutely.
So they're going to open up this crate, and Axel's going to see them take out the bearer bonds that Mikey had, same ones. Going to stick them in a bag and reseal up the case. So he now knows 100%, that this is all connected to Mikey's death and, stealing those bearer bonds. So he pretty much knows now that Victor had him killed. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, he figures out that Maitland is smuggling, because obviously those bonds shouldn't be being taken out of the crate. The crate hasn't gone through customs, and he's also savvy enough to know what the coffee grounds are for. And why would there be loose coffee grounds in this warehouse? He's savvy enough to know that. And what amazes me, and I don't know if it was written like this or not, but someone like Sergeant Taggart, who's been around the block, doesn't pick up on the significance of coffee grounds.
He doesn't. But what's funny is, and again, this goes back to the foil between Todd and Bogomil, is Bogomil does, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but Bogomil does know about it. So we see again that Ronnie Cox's character is not quite as much of a bumbling fool as the rest of the cops.
He's not a pencil pushing dickhead. He's an actual cop.
He's got some real street experience, is what I'm taking from it. So now we're going to get a quick scene back at the Beverly Hills Police Department, and it's going to open up with Bogomil saying, "How could you not notice a guy sticking a banana in your tailpipe?" And Billy gleefully gives him the information about the late supper. And what did you have, Billy? Oh, it was a shrimp salad sandwich. And Taggart's just like behind him, like, "Will you shut the fuck up?" And Billy was just so impressed by the move that Axel pulled on him. Kind of reminds me of the scene in, Rambo, where the young cop is like, he's a Green Beret, and he's so excited, and, the older cop is just like, you're impressed with this guy. He just fucking killed one of our friends. And same thing here, Taggart is like, "Dude, you think that's cool? The guy did it to screw us, and now we're in trouble." But for whatever reason,
Billy was so naive.
He was so naive.
But and the scene that follows, I'm sure you were probably going to come to it, so I won't interrupt you on that. With the other two detectives in the office, and they walk up to Billy and Taggart, after finding out what happened to the tailpipe, and he comes up. The scene was just so funny to me. He walks up with the glasses and a banana where the nose would be.
Yes.
Billy, we have something for you. It's an anti-banana disguise.
That's the
It
closing
might come-
shot of this scene we're actually talking about. So Bogomil gives them one more chance. He says, go back to the hotel and wait for him. And if you lose him again, don't bother calling in. And that is where well, I have these guys' names a little later on, but that's where these two other cops are going to come up. And, the one guy's wearing the glasses with a nose. And he says, Billy, an anti-banana disguise, and he puts the glasses in Billy's top pocket.
Oh, so good.
Phenomenal scene.
Billy is just so embarrassed. Tagger's just like, oh, I can't believe this is happening.
Yes, good stuff. So the next scene we're gonna see Axel and Jenny. He's following the two guys now from the warehouse in the white van. They're following them, and they're going to go to a bonded warehouse. Axel's going to say, oh, I wonder what this place is. She goes, oh, I can tell you, this is a bonded warehouse. And this is where we're going to get some more great, Saturday Night Live skit work from Eddie Murphy. He's going to sneak in, and he is going to impersonate an inspector. He's going to go up to he's going to actually get seen by the security guard, and he's going to ask this guy for a match, and he's going to pull the old, I'm Inspector Rafferty of,
He is a consummate bullshit artist.
The
way he throws this story together is just
on the fly.
On the fly, and that's where improvisation goes back to Saturday Night Live. And It was an evening at the Improv and things of that nature from when Eddie Murphy was doing stand-up before he hit it big. It's just, he throws the story together so perfectly that you have no reason to not believe him.
Yeah, totally. And he says he's from the United States Custom Inspector Rafferty. And I love it that he's got all these guys. We're gonna start with this crate right here. And he slaps the one that they just brought in, which I thought was really funny. And now he's got all the bondsmen, going through all these files, trying to find him the information he wants. And this is where we get this little, like Rick Moranis wannabe guy. Hey, do you have a warrant? Is that your Porsche outside? I'll bet that's your Porsche outside. I want you to know. I want all you guys to know. I could have 25 agents down here in 15 minutes to snatch your bond up out from under you, be out of business permanently. And then this little guy delivers a great line. No, that's not my Porsche. No, sir. I don't know whose Porsche that is. And you got nothing to worry about. Get to work faster.
Hurry up, faster.
The scene is great. I love it.
Just the way he delivers the lines, the emphasis and the dramatization. All I can see is Saturday Night Live. Because that's the kind of crazy skit kind of thing they would pull off. Just the way he delivered the lines was so Saturday Night Live.
Totally. This is by far my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, without question. This one is the top of the mountain for me. And he did do one later on called Holy Man, which I think he probably delivers his best performance ever, just my opinion. But this is like classic Eddie Murphy. Doesn't get better.
Golden Child's pretty good too.
Agreed. Just such a great movie. So all right, the next scene, we're going to be back at the hotel, and for a couple little cutscenes, we've had Taggart and Rosewood sitting in the car waiting for Axel to come back, and Rosewood is giving Taggart the shit, like. Yeah, it says here that, the average 50-year-old man has, 3 pounds of undigested red meat in his colon. He's like, why are you telling me this? Because you eat a lot of red meat, and he's hitting Taggart with a bunch of these little facts, and Taggart is just not having it. He's like, come on, dude, shut up. And Axel's going to jump.
They're like the Odd Couple.
Yes.
They're so different. Old school, young, naive, healthy, old school, smokes cigars, drinks beers. He's got a gut. It's like night and day between the two characters. They are so polar opposites.
Absolutely. And it was funny because when they were casting this pair, the director was just bringing in two guys that he was considering for the part. He would just say, just riff, just go talk to each other. And these two had the best chemistry, just riffing, and that's why he chose these two. So Axel's gonna jump into the back of the car, slam the door. He's lucky Taggart didn't whip out his gun and shoot him in the head.
Just his entrance with that laugh, and he jumps in.
Love it. Just really great.
It's all fun and games to him. He's just having fun with these two because they're easy targets.
He is.
Yeah, for him, they are.
Yeah, and he offers, he says, hey, listen, guys, I want to go get a drink. Why don't you guys join me? And, Taggart, we don't drink on duty. And, I'm going, and, you guys can try and follow me, but I lost you once before, I can do the shit again, so let's just go. I know a nice chill place, and he knows he's taking him to a strip joint. And it's funny because this scene where he invites them for the drink and they say, we don't drink on duty. This is going to play again later in the movie. And, we're going to see the shift in the character of Taggart, big time,
yes.
But we won't skip ahead to that. So, we're going to be at the strip joint now, and Axel's going to show them the coffee grounds. And, you already talked about this a little bit, Pat, how sheltered and just clueless these guys are from, being cops in Beverly Hills. Yeah, being cops in Beverly Hills. They don't see drug deals and coffee grounds. No. They have no idea what he's talking about.
And it's so under the table that's just, it goes beneath their notice.
Yeah, right. And, Axel's going to order a drink. They're going to order soda water. And Axel says, make sure I don't get the soda water out. I'll throw up if I drink that or whatever it is. And
then he looks over at Billy, and it's probably one of the funniest scenes. Billy, it's okay if your dick gets hard. It's supposed to get hard. And the look on Billy's face, he looks mortified.
Yeah, Taggart's the boss. The boss dick can't get hard. So at this point, we're going to see, we see these two scumbags are casing the place, and Axel is going to, he's going to scope it out immediately. He knows there's something going on here, and he's going to clue Taggart in. Does this look a little strange? A guy wearing a, trench coat in the middle of whatever month it was. I don't remember. It was summer months.
June.
And yeah,
long
June.
Black leather coat in June.
Yeah. And, and Taggart says, little, these guys are just dumb. And Billy literally is like, sticking a $1 bill in the stripper's
going on?
Thong. Is no
Will
clue.
someone tell me what's going on?
So, Axel's going to put on a great performance again. He's going to flick it on. He's going to play the drunk guy.
And if you think, I don't mean to interrupt, but I made a note. I remember seeing Eddie Murphy do his first stand-up routine, not Raw. I can't remember the name of the first one. Red leather suit. Hilarious, I think it was called.
Yep.
He did a bit about his drunk uncle lighting the barbecue fire. And if you remember seeing that stand-up, you see that same character when he confronts the would-be robber.
Wow. That's cool.
The drunk role was so perfect.
It was delirious, right?
Delirious. That's it. Delirious.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Close. Yeah, I wouldn't have picked that out. That's a fun fact. So he actually created that character years before then and then brought it back for this movie.
And he just used the same. They just said you need to plead drunk and you need to pretend this guy's a friend. Yeah. Run with it. Because this is the kind of actor that Eddie Murphy from his Saturday Night Live world can do. So he pulled his stand-up right out of that, pulled that right out of his pocket, and it fits perfectly.
It did. It played really well. So, he's gonna disarm the one guy, and then, Taggart's gonna deliver a pretty good line. He puts the gun in the other guy's head and says, "Move and I'll kill you." And again, I believe it. Taggart, I feel like maybe Taggart possibly worked maybe LA before he was in Beverly Hills.
He's got an edge.
Yeah, exactly, Dylan. I feel like he's got an edge. I feel
He's
like
more
maybe
threatening than Billy.
definitely. I feel like he's probably knuckled down a couple of perps in his day. So we're gonna get back to the Beverly Hills Police Department here, and we get
Super
Eddie
cop.
doing the super cop, and
Oh,
he's telling him, the super cop, story. He's pretty much laid it out for, for Taggart and Rosewood to be heroes here. And it's funny because again, this is going to come back at the end of the movie where we're going to see Bogomil's transformation, where he's going to deliver a super cop story of his own, but we'll get to it when we get to it.
right.
But these guys, they don't go along with it, and Bogomil is gonna tell the truth because that's what these guys do. They do it by the book. What do you guys think?
Well, that's just it. He's telling the super cop story, and as he's telling the story, you can see Bogomil is like, really? I'm supposed to believe this? You can see how uncomfortable Taggart looks. He's got his hand tied in his eyes. And,
Oh,
my
well,
God,
wait.
what's he saying?
It gets even better. Taggart was making that face because he was trying not to laugh.
There you
Because
go. That's perfect. I
Yeah.
can see that. Because the story that Axel sells, I mean, they were literally Supermen. And the only thing they're missing are capes. And Bogomil, he doesn't buy it for a second. Would someone like to tell me what happened?
Yeah, because he knows these guys are Keystone Cops. He knows that didn't happen.
And then Axel is just like, I haven't figured you guys out yet. I'm still working on it, but the super cop story
was working.
And then the camera goes to Bogomil with the smile on the corners of his mouth.
Yep.
And,
So
I don't understand it. You guys just fuck up a perfectly good lie. And I thought Bogomil was going to burst out laughing.
So Dylan, let me ask you: do you think that Bogomil was starting to take a shining to Axel here?
Well, I think part of it is that they say that in these police, in the police department, in these scenes, that Eddie Murphy was starting to like slow down and get tired, because what would happen is they'd start riffing and everyone was laughing and it was ruining cuts. So they kept having to like cut and reset. And Eddie Murphy was starting to get tired because it had been going on for hours at this point. And
nobody can stop laughing.
Because nobody can stop laughing. So
that makes sense.
One of the crew was like, hey, Eddie, why don't you have a cup of coffee and just perk yourself up a little? And he is so anti-drug that he didn't even want to drink coffee because of the caffeine.
I heard about that.
Yep. So eventually he was so tired, he took a couple sips of coffee. And the scene that made it into the movie is after he had the coffee and he was like, blah, 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 like he was extra caffeinated. And Taggart's trying not to laugh. And I think Bogomil's trying not to laugh. And I think the smirk is actually the actor trying to not laugh.
Exactly.
But it comes across in the movie as if he's kind of starting to warm up to Axel.
He's like, yeah, okay, buddy. I know the story you're spinning now.
I'm having a cup of coffee right now. Is that what happened to me?
Yes.
I can't shut up. All right. So at this point, Bogomil takes Taggart and Rosewood off the case and gives it to Foster and McCabe.
That's right.
Yes, right. So Foster and McCabe now are out in front of the hotel, and Axel has some food brought out to them, but they're not having it. These guys, these guys are
coffee and donuts.
Yeah, coffee and donuts. They don't want it, and I feel like these cops are maybe a little bit more capable than Taggart and Rosewood, and I feel like Taggart is pretty capable. I think it's Rosewood that's kind of dragging Taggart down into Dum-Dumville.
He's the rookie.
Yeah, he's the rookie.
I also think that these other two take themselves way too seriously.
Absolutely.
And I think that Taggart and Rosewood are a little bit more relaxed, even though I feel like they are serious cops. I just feel like these other two are just so square.
So the Foster and McCabe are going to try to tail Eddie to Victor's, which they do. And, they go up to him there and they say, what are you doing here? And he goes, I just seem like a nice place to have a picnic. And, They say picnic. This looks a little more like a stakeout. And he goes, no.
Stakeout?
Stakeout, no. So Axel's going to see Victor's limo pull out, and he's going to jump in his car to follow him. And he does in fact lose McCabe and Foster by stopping at the red light and getting them in a near accident. So yeah, these guys weren't any harder to ditch than Rosewood was. You guys agree?
Axel's just way too confident at that.
Yeah. So obviously Eddie is a superior cop to any of these guys. None of them are a challenge for him. So the next scene we're going to get is probably right behind the Saturage character. This is going to be my favorite character in the movie, and it's played by Axel, which is funny. But we're at the Harrow Country Club, and Axel's going to go in, and he delivers a funny line before. He says, "Hey, can you park this, somewhere, because all this shit happened last time I parked here." And he's in a shitty sky blue, car.
Piece of shit Chevy Nova.
Yeah, piece of shit Chevy Nova. And he says, all this shit happened last time I parked here.
Great line.
He goes inside, and he goes up to the maitre d', and he flicks a switch, and now he is Ramon. This is...
And literally flipped the switch.
Yes. Like, his face changes, his mannerisms change.
His hips turn, he puts his hand on his hips, his eyes widen open a little more.
Oh, my God. This is great. He says, I'm here to see Victor Maitland. And he goes, you sure you're looking for Victor Maitland? He goes, dark-skinned man, Capricorn.
Dark-skinned, gray hair, Capricorn.
Yeah, he goes, can I give him a message for you? He goes, I suppose I could do that. He's telling, Ramon, the man he met at the club last week, saw his doctor, and, he's got
went to the clinic.
Herpes simplex 10, and maybe he should see his physician before things start falling off the man. And, the matron is like, maybe you should tell him yourself.
Mortified.
He goes, I think that would be best.
You have to truly appreciate the scene. You have to see the performance. It's 100% iconic. Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy.
You know what?
There's no question.
Let's play the scene. Let's take a minute and play the scene. I got to hear the delivery of this line. All right.
Good idea.
Yes. I'm looking for Victor Maitland.
You realize that this is a members-only club.
But I have to talk to Victor. It's very, very important.
Are you sure it's Victor Maitland you want?
Oh, yes. Victor Maitland, the gray-haired gentleman, very dark-skinned, Capricorn. Victor.
Well, why don't you give me the message, and I'll take it to him.
Okay, I guess I can do that. Tell Victor that Ramon, the fella he met about a week ago, tell him that Ramon went to the clinic today, and I found out that I have herpes simplex 10. And I think Victor should go check himself out with his physician to make sure everything is fine before things start falling off on the man.
Perhaps you better tell him that.
I think that would be best.
All right, so that was great. Eddie at his best. This is classic Saturday Night Live skit play by Eddie Murphy, and I just loved it.
I just love how just with one shift of his body, hands on the hips, shift the hips, open the eyes, boom, he's Ramon.
The best, one of his best characters ever. I could see a whole movie Ramon. Give it to me. So so Axel's going to go in and confront Victor, and he's trying to get Victor to make a mistake here. He's going to put some heat on him, going to put some pressure on him, and hope that he can get Victor to, do something to compromise him, and he starts putting some heat on him, and Zach gets up to stop him, and, he's going to toss him into the buffet counter, covering him in food. And
the look on Zach's face when he gets up off the floor.
Yeah.
If looks could kill.
And Victor gives him the, stand down. And, Axel delivers a great line here. Does he roll over and sit too? And Victor's going to threaten Axel here. He's going to basically tell him, if you don't go back to Detroit and leave this alone, I'm going to kill you. Going to have you killed.
Oh, yeah.
You're in my town. This isn't Detroit, and you're not going to make it out of here alive unless you stop. And Axel's going to, look him right in the eye and just be like, I'll be seeing you again. And, Victor delivers the line, I can't wait. And they're going to take him away.
The arrogance is just at its highest point in Victor Maitland.
He is
untouchable. There's nothing you can do to him. And it's a trait that the villains that you love to hate have.
So, Lynn, what was your play on this? Was Victor being that cocky, or was this the first time that Axel actually put a dent in his shield and he's starting to see Axel as maybe a threat?
The thing is that he is in a private club that Victor is a member of. And these, as far as he's concerned, are his people. And they're all witnessing this. So this is not his office. This is not his art gallery.
Yeah, this is a public forum.
This is a public forum, and people are seeing this, and they're saying, what's going on with Victor? Like, why would somebody be coming at him like this? So it's almost like
unwanted attention.
Yeah, like I see now that you're willing to put this into a place of where other people can see this happening, and it puts some real heat on him.
And what did you think about also the fact, what was Victor's reaction to Axel handling Zach so easily?
I am not sure if he was disappointed or if it was more just he figured, Axel kind of got the jump on him that time, because I'm sure that Zach wasn't expecting Axel to walk into the middle of a private country club,
Yeah, and I'm sure he didn't expect to be thrown into a buffet table either.
That's right.
He certainly wasn't expecting that move. No.
Yeah, like he took it to he went from like 0 to 10 very quickly. And I don't think that I don't think Zach expected him to do that. And I don't think that Maitland expected him to do that either.
And Zach was at that point a human fruit salad. So it was no good, not a good look for him. So next scene, we're going to be back at the police station in Beverly Hills. And Axel now is going to reveal to Bogomil what he's uncovered, what he knows about Victor, what he's seen. And of course, Bogomil wants to do it by the book. And, Axel says, if you do that, you're gonna give him a heads up. He's gonna shut down shop, and you're not gonna get him on anything. And at this moment, I feel like Bogomil is he realizes that Axel is a good detective, like better than anybody he's got on his payroll. Mm-hmm. And he's starting to respect Axel. And I think that at this moment, for the first time in the movie, he truly believes that, Victor Maitland is up to no good. What do you guys think?
Well, this is the point where you can see the character Bogomil change, because after Axel explains everything and says that he can't prove it, Bogomil immediately flips the coin and says, forget what you can prove, talk to me.
Yes.
So now he is on board now. This is real. It's not some foul-mouthed jerk from out of town. He is a real detective. He's onto something, and we need to pay attention to this.
But he's still not going to handle it in an unconventional way, the way that they would do it in Detroit.
He has to be by the book. Yeah, he has to be by the book.
And you're not going to catch Victor Maitland doing it by the book. And Axel knows that. So he withholds a very important piece of information that he knows when the next shipment is coming. And he does not tell Bogomil this fact because he knows that Bogomil will ruin the one chance they have to catch Victor red-handed.
Right.
So he withholds that information. And now we're going to meet the chief. And he's going to come in. He's going to pull Bogomil into the office. And, I think Bogomil now is not looking to run Axel out of town, but the chief is.
And he's a little uncomfortable.
He reads in the rights, and it's funny, Axel starts, mocking the chief, and everyone's like, shut up. And he goes, what, can he hear me through the walls? And they're like, yes, he can. I thought that was pretty funny. So he comes out, and Bogomil says basically to Rosewood, take Axel's gun, drive him to the city limits, make sure he leaves town. We're going to drop all the charges as long as he leaves Beverly Hills. Give him his gun back, and it was nice having you in town, but don't come back. You're done here. So Rosewood has been, given the job to take Eddie out of town, to take Axel out of town.
Wait a second. Now, I would like to know if that was done on purpose, because Rosewood is the one that has had the stars in his eyes when it comes to Axel all along. Like, he's the weak link. Why would you give him to Rosewood to take him out of town?
Because he's the low man on the totem pole. He's the kid. He's the probie.
No, I totally agree with Delin on this. I had this written down as well. I think that Bogomil knows that Billy is going to drop the ball here, and I think he knows there's a very good chance that Axel is still on the case when he walks out that door. I feel like he knows. Like,
an interesting thought. I never thought of that.
Like we had just said, he now knows that Victor is nefarious. He's up to no good. Probably drugs, probably a murder, probably, these bearer bonds. He's running this, he's running this right under Bogomil's nose. And I think he's taking this personally now. And
he's making all the cops look bad.
Yes.
Right.
And
right.
And he knows he's got a rogue agent now, and he's going to put that rogue agent back on the streets with his dumbest, most influential police officer, Rosewood.
Yeah, he figures it's easier to convince Rosewood to help him than it would be Taggart.
Yeah. So really good read on that, Delin. I think he nailed it.
I mean, you could easily put him in a car with the two squares, and they're going to follow it to the letter of the law. They're going to drive him to the end of the street and drop him off. Now, of course, Eddie Murphy, Axel Foley would have just returned into town at that point. He's not going to just walk away. But with Rosewood in his pocket,
you can't have Taggart take him out.
Yeah, no, but if you have Rosewood take him out, he now has somebody that he can influence that will play on his team and help him.
Yeah, so we've already discussed that Bogomil is a competent police officer.
Yes.
He's not dumb, and there's no reason he's going to put his job at risk. He knows the chief isn't messing around. There's no more mistakes unless they nab Victor on something. I think that he thinks that Eddie's close, Axel's close, and he's going to give Axel one more shot by sending him out with Rosewood. All right, so the next scene is Victor. He goes back to the art gallery, and he's going to visit Jenny. And he's going to start asking some questions about Axel. He knows they're old friends. And do you guys think that Victor knows that Jenny is lying when she says she doesn't know where Axel is staying?
I do.
I do too.
There are too many, like when he asks when did you see him last? Her hesitation. Do you know where he lives? No, not really. There's too much deflection.
Right. Now, Delin, let me ask you something. So at this point, the dynamic between her and Victor has completely changed, and that's because, do you think she now believes he's a murderer?
I mean, I think that she certainly suspects it's happening. She definitely, like, I think you made a good point earlier that she was like, hey, this is going to blow up my thing. But I think that she might think that Victor's up to something at this point, and I think she might think I'm in danger now.
Yes, that's my point. Is I think now she knows that Victor had Mikey killed. I mean, she's seen enough of Axel's accusations are true. She knows Mikey's dead. She
the fact
knows
that she's being questioned
by
about Axel, about Mikey. Obviously now he's showing concern now, and she's like, oh my God, it's all true.
And he's a killer. And now he is starting to focus his negative energy on her. And I think at that moment she realizes that, her life could be in danger. Yeah, I'm in trouble.
She's good.
Yeah, I mean, this went from, a rich, harmless art dealer in her office to basically like a mafia boss in her office. So I felt like this scene had a lot of weight to it, and I could feel her fear at this moment. Okay, so Axel convinces Billy to go to the warehouse to intercept this shipment, and it doesn't take a whole lot of convincing. I think Billy's up for an adventure. He's up, he gives a few lines throughout this, about Butch Cassidy, and, he's a little bit of a romantic when it comes to police work. I think that he has maybe been let down by his
looking for some action,
by his experiences as a police officer. I don't think he's getting a lot of what he signed up for. I think he's
his
really
reality
excited.
isn't the movies, and I think he was expecting the movies.
Correct. So it doesn't take a lot to push him into this game.
Which is probably what Bogomil was expecting.
Correct. So back at the art gallery, we're going to get a little more Surge here. We're just going to get a little shot of espresso of Surge, but it's enough for me. So
would you like it with a lemon twist?
Yes. So Axel introduces Billy to Surge, and he says, "Surge, can you make my friend Billy espresso?" And Billy says, "If it's no trouble," he says, "Don't be stupid."
Would you like it with a lemon twist? Oh yeah, it's no trouble. But the way you say, "Don't be stupid."
Don't be stupid, and it's like, again, man, it's just these lines are delivered.
I don't know what the accent was what race the accent was supposed to be for. Maybe it was his own very own accent, but
again,
it was awesome.
I told you he was mimicking a female makeup artist that was working on the movie. So there's a woman that is Surge. So there is a female version of that somewhere in this world that I would love to sit down and party with.
I just like to know what race this person is. Where are they from? Because that accent is hysterical.
It is the best. It really is. And we're going to get more of him throughout this series of movies. And we'll probably end up doing at least one more of these Beverly Hills Cops. And we're going to meet Surge again. And he never lets me down. But this is the best Surge and the best Axel we're going to get. So Billy and Axel and Jenny are now going to go to the warehouse. Axel tells Billy, we don't have a warrant, so you're going to have to wait in the car. And Axel and Jenny go inside. Billy waits outside. He's watch out. And this is where Axel's going to find the cocaine for the first time. He finds the coffee grounds, and, Jenny's, it's coffee grounds. Yeah, we're going to have some coffee and have a party later.
You know what people do with this stuff? Yeah, they filter hot water through it and drink it. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to take some home and filter some hot water through it and drink it in the morning.
That's right. So
I'm concerned for Axel Foley with the amount of cocaine he gets on his finger. Like, he literally dips his entire finger into the bag, and then he just goes think on the end of his tongue. It's like, so what are you doing with the rest of the cocaine on your finger now?
That's a lot of cocaine.
It was a lot of cocaine. Like the street value of that finger is really, it's up there.
Well, and as TJ Hooker says, as Robert De Niro says in Showtime, when TJ Hooker is doing it, this is how we taste cocaine. And De Niro's character, a real cop, says, "What if it's cyanide?" And and Eddie Murphy, he actually plays De Niro's character in Showtime. He says, "Forget him. It's never cyanide. Go ahead, TJ." So that's great. But yeah, so anyway, he's gonna get caught by one of the henchmen, gets caught off guard, and they've got him now. And Billy's gonna see Victor and his henchmen pull up in the black limo, whatever it is, and they're all gonna go inside. And this is where Zach's gonna get his get his revenge on Eddie. So, he delivers the line back at him. Well, I don't know, cuz you remember Eddie called him cuz at the buffet.
At the Harrow Club, yes.
Yeah, so he's gonna deliver the line back. I don't know, cuz.
Well, cuz.
Well, cuz. And I love it. It's a great line. And he's gonna give him some shots to the stomach. Boom, 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 boom. He's punching him and getting pretty brutal. And so, she says, Jenny says, what are you going to do with him? And Victor delivers a pretty dark line. He says, you should worry about what I'm going to do to you.
Yeah.
And I think this is where Jenny realizes she is no longer an employee at the art gallery, and she's probably going to suffer the same fate as Mikey and Axel at this point. So Zach's going to leave with Victor and Jenny, but not before Victor gives the henchman that's going to end up doing Axel. He's going to end up killing Axel. He gives him a look where he looks at Axel, he looks at the henchman, and then he looks down at the floor. And he's saying, kill him. Am I right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So before that can happen, though, Billy breaks in and takes a shot at the henchman, giving Axel a moment to get away. And they do end up getting away. Do you guys want to talk about this scene at all? Or
I liked in the beginning when they show Billy in the car watching as people are going in, the look of indecision on his face. What should I do? Oh my God, you're going in. I can't just sit here. I can't go in there, but I can't sit here. You can see all of that running through his face as all these people are coming in and going out of this warehouse.
Yeah, he's finally going to get what he's. Go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, I was going to say, he definitely makes his decision when he sees them bring Jenny out and put her in the car. And she looks at him and she's like, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, please, you got to get involved now.
So Billy takes the shot, and the look on his face, it's like the first time he's fired his firearm.
Yeah, the look of shock on his face, the open mouth awe.
Yes.
Of what he just did is like, holy cow.
Yeah, he can't put the toothpaste back in the tube now. It's on. The whole thing is on. He's getting everything he asked for. So now we're going to see Axel and Billy in Billy's car, and he's going to call the station, and he calls for Taggart to check out the warehouse. And Taggart's going to get on the horn and be like, Billy, what are you doing? And, he's going to be like, just get to the warehouse and check it out. And
don't tell Bogomil.
And don't tell Bogomil. So, Axel and Billy get to Victor's house, and Taggart's going to meet him there. And, he's saying, knock it off. We're not doing this. And Billy's like, he's holding a woman in there, and I'm going in with Axel. And Axel's like, you're going to have to shoot me to stop me. We're going in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, and at this point, finally, Taggart decides, we're going to do this. He grabs a shotgun, and they're going to go inside to rescue Jenny. Victor sees Axel on a surveillance camera and sends his henchmen out with automatic weapons. What do you think, Pat?
The using the machine guns was pretty funny, considering Taggart's shotgun wasn't even going to come close to hitting anybody from that distance.
Yeah, it's set up. Go ahead.
Billy's got this tiny little 2-inch snub nose 38, and the two of them are being gunned down with automatic weapons from an elevated position. They're pretty much screwed.
I mean, can we talk about the scene with them trying to scale the wall?
Oh my God! I made a note of that. It's like Abbott and Costello.
Yes,
Watching these two
legit.
try to get up that wall was priceless.
Pat, Abbott and Costello was what came into my mind as well. And I think that since we were all thinking that, it had to be on the director's mind, and they pulled it off perfectly.
Oh, it was so funny watching them try to lift each other and boost each other and get on the other's shoulders, and someone gets his hand on the railing and his feet are scratching at the wall because he can't get any higher.
I mean, to me, it was perfect because you get this. It's a shootout. They're trying to kill them, and here's comedy. Like, it gives you a minute of like, whoo.
Yeah,
and
the miss
enough not to make the scene horrifying.
Yes.
And the mismatch between the firearms that, the cops are bringing in, Axel, Billy, and Taggart, compared to the machine guns that the heavies are using, set up some great lines when Billy, stands up and he's like, drop your guns, you're under arrest. And they, and, and Taggart says, do it again and I'll kill you myself. And when they're pinned down, and and this is where Billy delivers the line about Butch Sundance.
Remember that scene?
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, and Taggart's looking at him like, kid, you out of your freaking mind? I'm gonna get you back for this. He's telling him, I'm gonna return this favor down the line. So it set up,
funny.
Yeah, it set up some great scenes. And here's where we're going to see Bogomil figure out, what's going on. So he comes into the office and he says, anybody seen Taggart or Rosewood? And they're all like, no, they're not here. And he says, where's their car? And, the guy gives him the address. I think this is the two other cops. Gives him the address. He said, that's Victor Maitland's house. And so he tracks them there. And
also, fun fact, this is pre-GPS. GPS did not exist at this point. So this was GPS before, like, they made this up. And now it's an actual thing.
Yeah, they were somehow able to track the cars, some kind of a locator in the cars, which is...
At the time, it didn't exist.
And
was LoJack out then?
No, I don't think so.
They were trying to make the point that Beverly Hills Police Station was on a whole nother level tech-wise.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was Beverly Hills.
Yeah. So after a shootout, we see Axel. He's going to enter Victor's house now. We're going to get ready for the two big kills. But Bogomil's going to send backup. And this is where he's going to tell his first fib. He says, send backup and say undercover officers on the scene. And the cop that he says it to kind of gives him a look like, what? Undercover officers? Yeah, undercover officers on the scene? Like, he's like, just do it. So I think at this point, this is where Bogomil's starting to set up the lie that he's going to tell the chief. He doesn't know exactly how it's going to play out, but he knows that he has to start making this look like it was coordinated and it was all in the works the whole time. Am I right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, and
because he knew he was going to have someone to answer to, because there was no way around the fact that they were about to break into Victor Maitland's estate and there's a shootout.
Right.
So he needs to have his story set up before he gets there.
And this goes back to what Delin said about, it almost feels like Bogomil knew this was going to happen. So he's starting to set up the story he's going to tell the chief.
And they also don't want the cops to kill Axel, so they got to tell him there's an undercover on the scene, or they just shoot him.
Right. So now we've got Axel, he's going through the house with his gun, and he sees Zach. Zach's got the shotgun, but Axel gets the draw on him, and he shoots Zach dead. But when he does this, he gives his position up, and Victor catches him off guard and shoots him in the shoulder. And it's a pretty good scene. He gets Axel. When you hear Axel go down, he winces in pain, and there's a lot of blood because Victor's got a pretty big gun there. It was like a 357 Magnum or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a Magnum. There's no question.
Yeah, it was awesome. So he gets him, and Axel's holding it, and he's down, and This is pretty cool. He starts dragging blood streaks through the house, and Victor's following him. He's hunting him now, which is pretty good. What'd you guys think of this scene?
I mean, I feel like Axel was taking a little bit of a victory lap prematurely when he was standing over Zach, and that's how he gets winged. You know,
Agreed.
he's kind of standing there over him, like giving him the old. And I mean, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't, kick him or anything. But he's doing a little bit of a victory lap because he's just standing there looking at him, and it's like, there's still players on the board here. There's dudes with automatic weapons. What are you doing just standing there looking at them,
He completely forgot that Victor Maitland was there.
Yeah.
He's also not looking at Victor Maitland as a physical threat because he's the business end of it.
Correct.
So he lets his guard down after he kills the guy that kills his buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And when he lets his guard down, he's not paying attention to what's going around, and Victor gets the drop on him.
Yes.
So again, this brings up the character of Victor Maitland. He's starting, as this movie goes on, he feels more and more like a mob boss to me. He's a killer. I think he's killed before. I think he's a badder ass than we think he is. And we're starting to find out that Victor Maitland is not a man to be fucked with. At this point, we got police backup coming, and these cops are just so dumb, man. Like, they're trying. The heavies see the cops coming, and they're like, "Let's get out of here." They're all now just gonna leave Victor out to dry, and they're all gonna take off. They jump in a white.
By all means, jump in a van and go down a driveway while the cops are coming at you in the opposite direction,
which causes a 15-car cop car rear-ending.
Yeah,
episode.
Why wouldn't you just run away and jump over the fence somewhere?
Exactly. The cops are coming in the front door. Why the hell are you running to the front door?
Right. This almost reminds me again of Rambo, where they're just making the National Guard look stupid. Like 15 cop cars all rear-end each other.
And then Bogomil sees it. Oh shit!
It's like, do these guys have driver's licenses or? Yeah. So that happens, and this is where we're going to get the final showdown. Victor has Jenny at gunpoint, gun to her head. Axel's got his gun drawn on him. And, what's going to happen here? I didn't see it coming. Did you guys see it coming?
No.
Delin, give us the ending. Come on.
I definitely did not see it coming. I did not see Bogomil jumping into the frame and the two of them just wasting Victor. Jenny gives him the elbow and rolls out to give them the shot. And I didn't see it coming. I had a feeling Victor was going to get it because, it's Beverly Hills Cop, not Victor Maitland's great. But I definitely didn't see that going down that way, especially not with Bogomil, literally jumping into the scene and just completely emptying his gun into Victor Maitland.
Both of them empty their guns, and this is a very brutal scene.
Yes,
a lot of blood. He goes down the stairs, body bouncing down the stairs, covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dark movie.
The only thing I didn't like about the scene was they actually allowed him to get a shot off before they turned his chest into ground beef.
It hits the wall. It hits the wall.
The second Jenny elbows Victor and he lets her go, the second his hand points towards those cops, he should have been drilled. But he actually got a shot off. They got lucky.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked the
only thing I didn't like about the only thing and there's one thing that I wanted to I made a note of. Now remember when Victor is holding Jenny in front of him with the gun toward the side of her head, and he comes around the corner and Axel's on his knee pointing his gun. Victor says something that, I don't know, maybe I'm just not the sharpest knife in the drawer. We all know that. But he says, "Be careful, you might hit me." What the hell does that mean? Isn't he the target?
No, he's saying, if you shoot, you're probably going to shoot Jenny. He's saying, be careful, you might actually hit me. He's saying you don't want to take.
Okay, that makes
Yeah, you don't want to take the shot.
Yeah,
I
through
also
the haze, that's making sense now.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
also
Jordan.
feel like him taking the shot. I do agree with Pat that probably, I mean, it was clear and present danger. They're going to shoot the two policemen. But I also feel like the fact that he takes a shot at them now, if there's like an internal affairs thing that goes through and looks at it to see, oh, well, he shot at them. So, it's almost like they didn't just go in there and like nobody can accuse them of just going in there and just executing him.
Right.
I've seen too many crime dramas. That's where that came from. I've seen too many crime dramas where the perpetrator even makes the motion of pointing a gun at you and they just drill him.
Yeah, well, they put a nice tight bow on the end of this so that Bogomil's story is basically waterproof at the end. So Billy gives a great line here. These guys have all surrendered. It's over. There's no more firefight, no more threat. He stands up. Drop your guns. You're all under arrest.
Thanks, Billy.
Very good, Billy.
Yeah.
Great. Billy Rosewood was so funny. He was so naive, and his enthusiasm and his zeal almost gets him killed 2 or 3 times just at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So this is we're getting towards the end here. The chief shows up again, and Bogomil makes up a story about a joint Detroit Beverly Hills drug investigation. They were in cahoots the entire time, and the chief isn't buying it for a second, but he says to Taggart, he
turns to Taggart,
is this true? Tell me what really happened. And Taggart said it happened just the way the chief said. And the chief knows now that, it's a great caller. They've
foiled the crime. They got the bad guy.
This
Let's
is going to
go
look
with the story.
It's going to look good for the Beverly Hills Police Department. He says, that's
Press
fine.
is going to love it.
If this is what you want to go with, that's fine. Just make sure the report's on my desk in the morning. And he actually shakes Bogomil's hand and says, congratulations. And Eddie looks at him and says, you are lying your ass off.
It was so good.
And this is where they become friends. As we know from the second movie going forward, Bogomil and Axel become very good friends, and they're actually going to vacation together and stuff after this. So this is a true friendship now between him and all the players, Bogomil, Billy, and Rosewood, and Axel. They're all good friends now. And this is the final scene of the movie. Axel's checking out, and Rosewood and Taggart come to make sure, he leaves town. I think they're kind of joking, but kind of at the same time, they've had enough of Axel, Beverly Hills Police Department, and Chief wants to make sure that Axel's, leaving. They say, we're picking up the bill, and Eddie says, put 2 more of those robes on the tab.
No object.
Money's no object. They're like $90 a piece. So he gives one to Eddie. He gives one to Rosewood, and he says, every time you put this on, I want you to think about me. And he gives one to Taggart, and Taggart says, you keep it. He goes, I got 2 more in the bag.
And this is here's a crazy thought. How was Axel going to pay that bill if the Beverly Hills Police Department?
Oh, he would have done some sort of shenanigans to get out of it for sure.
He says early in the movie he's never been on vacation before. He's a cop. He lives in a shithole. He drives a crappy car. He's got no family. He's got money in the bank. He's not rich, but
oh no, he was going to skip out on that. He was skipping out on that somehow.
He probably was. I'm going to agree with you on that. But this is where we're going to get the actual final scene. They're out in front, and he says, why don't you guys join me for a drink before I leave town? And, and Taggart agrees. He's, Axel says,
one beer will kill us, Billy.
Yeah, Axel says, you guys can have soda water. Or no. Yeah, what was this? Give us the line, Pat.
Rosewood says, oh, we can't, Axel. We're still on duty. And Taggart just casually, well, I don't think one beer is going to kill us, Billy.
Right. So we see now that
Axel was just like, one beer's not going to kill us.
Yeah, I love it. And, you know, this shows that these guys have, you know, learned a lot about detective work and police work from Axel. I don't think they're gonna do their police work the way they did before they met Axel. I think that maybe the whole Beverly Hills Police Department has learned a little something from Axel.
Yeah, they learned a few tricks.
They did. And, you know, Taggart is maybe not quite so stiff as he was before he met him. And I thought it was a nice ending. And Delynn, what'd you think?
Oh yeah, it's a great ending because it leaves it, you know, with that little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little acknowledgement that they've changed, like Axel has changed them all forever. But it's still going to be business as usual for the most part, even though they've changed a little.
That's right. And then we're going to get the final scene of the movie, which is Eddie turning around, giving the okay sign and the wink. And
trust me. And the two words that got him in trouble in the first place. Trust me.
Trust me. And he gives him the wink and the okay sign, and that's it. Run credits. So this is the time when we are going to give our rewatches score. And I'm going to let Delynn go first. So Delynn, why don't you tell us how many rewatches you're going to give this movie?
I mean, I want to give it a low score just to mess with you too, because I know you would make your heads explode. But I can't because I have some integrity, you know, at least a little bit of integrity. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and give it a 5 because it's a great movie. It's funny. There's action. It's just good. Go and watch it if you haven't seen it already.
All right, Pat.
Oh, well, I can't give it anything but a 5, seeing as I've probably seen it about 1,000 times. It's the kind of movie, it's like you have comfort food, you have comfort clothes, and for Jesse and I, we have comfort movies. The movie that you can always watch when you need to see something that'll make you laugh, something that you've always enjoyed, regardless of how many times you've seen it, because you always find something new that you didn't notice no matter how many times you've seen it before.
All right. So that's 5 rewatches for Delynn. That's 5 rewatches for Pat. And this is one of my favorite movies of all times. And I'm going to give it 6 rewatches.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. And since there's no science to the sliding scale of rewatches, as we all know, I created this scale and I control this scale. So with Delynn's 5 and Pat's 5 and my 6, that gives Beverly Hills Cop a score of
5.1.
5.1 rewatches, making this an absolutely perfect movie. So if you haven't seen Beverly Hills Cop, what are you waiting for? Go see this movie. It's great.
If you love Eddie Murphy, you will love this movie.
That's right. All right. So I want to thank Delynn.
Thank you.
I want to thank Pat, the podcaster with an opinion. Thank you, Pat.
Always a pleasure.
And I want to thank all the listeners, as always, for stopping by and checking out the show. So until next week, hey, did you ever see that movie? We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
As always, I want to take a minute to thank you, the listeners, for stopping by and supporting the podcast. Next week, we'll be back with RoboCop. We'll be joined by a special guest, Michelle, and I'm looking forward to this one. So make sure you stop by and listen. As always, the podcast was created on the Anchor app. If you're looking to start a podcast, give Anchor a try. It's good for the beginner podcaster right up to the more advanced podcaster. Easily get your content on all your favorite platforms. And until next week, hey, did you ever see that movie?